the desire to withstand the pain and give you the utmost in battle and combat at WrestleMania 6.
Welcome everyone to the very first Nerdy Up North Rumblecast. Yeah!
Oh, wow. Look at that.
The sound
Fireworks
also,
on Mick Foley's face.
you can't hear it, but everyone at home can. But yeah, welcome. I thought I'd give us a WrestleMania type vibe with the fireworks and everything. And I just have that button now. But hell yeah, this is the Nerdy Up North Rumblecast. I am Jake. We used to do video games and we've switched over to watch some fun wrestling because Netflix decided to drop a million things on there and it just got everyone excited about wrestling again. I'm joined by my co-host, Sliding Sloop, who's always here on the Wednesday slot. And we are graced with the presence of Paul, the leader of Nerdy Up North. He does all the stuff. He makes the wheels keep turning. How you doing?
He makes the babies cry. That's what he does. That's how I roll.
Yeah, you're a heel.
I know I won't be ripping my shirt off anyone expecting that tonight. That's not happening.
I'll crop the nipples out. I can do it. You'll just turn to a head.
Freaking being out already. This won't be a topless stream just yet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Adam.
Keep the baby oil for another day.
Oh yeah, we need to be glistening in the sun. Unfortunately, Adam couldn't be with us tonight because he's feeling a bit under the weather, so hopefully he'll get well soon. He's on the turnbuckle though with Hawk Jim, the mega powers. We are here.
Powers, oh wow!
I know we are here to talk about not quite the mega powers, although they are sort of in and around. But we're here to talk about SummerSlam 1992, and this was a Paul's pick. Because this was, let's face it, this was your idea for us to do a wrestling show. So I was like,
it wasn't my idea. You said, I want to do something new. Because let's be honest, the nerdy news or the gaming news hasn't been on fire with anything exciting and
it was depressing.
Like anything where you can burn your loins where you can get into. But with I think the Netflix sending off all of the wrestling and WWE, Raw going live, having Royal Rumble on Netflix, having WrestleMania on Netflix. It is a big deal, and the buzz around wrestling is huge. And I know Jake is a massive wrestling fan, so as soon as I mentioned it, you got very excited. I also know Sloop is a massive wrestling fan. So and like say Adam is just a wrestler. Let's put it that way. He fights those alligators. It just seemed to fit perfectly with the format and what I do. And I said, with you doing the Rumblecast just kind of
that was your idea as well. Gotta give credit where credit's due because I wanted to call it the what was it? I made up some horrible
very
name.
Long. I think it was very long. I remember you mentioned it.
No, it was the
Jakey wrestly fighty show.
Or it was like Ramblecast with WR.
yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was. It was something like that.
No, that was just a joke. That's where. But
the only thing that Jake said was, I want the logo to look like it was from the 1980s, 1990s WWF style. I think I've done it my best I could.
Absolutely, I love the shininess. But yeah, like Sloop, you've been like rekindling my love, enabling my love of the indie wrestling scene in the Northeast, which we have always had a strong one. I don't know. I know it's a bit of a class thing, let's face it, with wrestling. Like in the sort of like working class areas, like wrestling's always quite popular because it's like a big flashy escapist night at the pub function room. That's kind of like what it is around here. I mean,
community centers and ballrooms and all that sort of stuff.
I mean, it has elevated itself a bit because now we're getting like full on productions in like those like warehouse pubs and stuff, like the Anarchy Brewery, stuff like that. But yeah, like Sloop, I don't know if I heard like your full on like wrestling history or like how you got in or like what. Like how long ago was it or anything? But yeah, just go for it. Tell us.
It was a long time ago. So I used to go to my cousin's house after school.
Yes.
because my parents work full time, and then I would get me tea there and watch some stuff on there. They had a bit of money, so they had Sky.
Whoa.
Sky Sports as well. So they used to have, I don't know when exactly it was, or when, and they used to get tapes and stuff as well.
Yes.
And I think the first time I watched it properly was probably 1996. So I was about 8
Oh wow.
years old. And the first thing I remember seeing was a Mankind Undertaker match. And I was like, what on earth is happening? I was simultaneously terrified because you have a very, very large man looking scary.
Yeah.
Basically trying to attack another man who was scary looking and screaming a lot. And I was just enthralled, absolutely enthralled. What is this? And then me and my cousin would just watch it. So you'd get tapes, or you would tape it off Sky, or you would do whatever, and would just watch it. So 96 was when I sort of started getting into it, and then kind of the peak times where I really watched it religiously or quite regularly was 98 to about 2002, 2003-ish. And then after that point, I kind of drifted off a little bit. Watched the main sort of Rumble WrestleMania stuff just to kind of keep abreast of what was going on, but then I kind of fell out of love with it a little bit when it got a bit, it was just all Cena and Triple H all the time, who I don't mind.
Yeah.
But it's just
it was a lot.
There was
of them.
no like weird mad people left anymore.
No.
I like all that, the weird gimmicks and the mad sort of supernatural shit. And that's what I like. Mankind was my favourite at the time.
Yeah. He was indestructible.
It
It shows by the shirt you've donned as well. Bang bang.
Yeah. And I just like all that weird shit. Like, yes, you've got the pretty baby faces who have all the nice physiques and stuff. I don't give a fuck. I want the weird shit where people are bleeding and screaming and like getting hurt. Not actually getting hurt, but a bit rough. A bit rougher.
So basically you and Jake are the babies of this as well, because like I said, getting into that later on.
I'm even worse though, because I didn't jump on until 2000. Really, like Royal Rumble 2000 was the thing that got me in. But like, so my first thing I remember seeing was the friggin' Dudley Boys and the Hardy Boys, and just being like, this is amazing. But Paul, how did you like? I know you probably watched it like earlier than us, but like, can you remember like what the first thing you saw was that just like blew your mind or anything?
There's just floods of different weird and wonderful shit. Like I remember, as you said, I didn't have Sky, so I was very unlucky with that. Or lucky, it depends. When one of my friends did have Sky, so when like they used to have like a bigger pay-per-view or a big event, we also used to buy around his after he taped it to watch it. I remember being amazed at seeing the Big Boss Man versus the Mountie. Hulk Hogan versus the Big Boss Man in the blue steel cage.
I love that blue cage.
Royal Rumble 1990, I think, as well. Like, just crazy things that like did happen. Being obsessed with like the sticker books, having to try and get all the shiny names. Ted DiBiase was really hard to get. And then like the figurines. I don't know where they are now, but like the old, I think it's Hasbro style figurines. I remember saving up my pocket money to get the Undertaker one, and he didn't even do like a tombstone. He just had an arm and just went.
No, the lariat arm.
Amazing.
So, but again, the merchandise blew me away. I think as well. I think the 90s was like the king for the tack of the merchandise. Like not just the sticker albums. You used to have like your own little huggy teddy bears, where like was Ultimate Warrior, like this that you just used to fight. Wrestling buddies and stuff.
I had a Goldberg one. Did I ever tell this story?
No.
Like a Goldberg wrestling buddy, and it had sort of like sensors, like those like wires like down his arms and stuff. So you'd be like, wow, my arm and stuff like that. And then you could grab his nose, and he's like, oh, my nose. It's me, Goldberg. I'm trapped inside the doll. He didn't really say that.
So it was basically
I did not kick Bret.
It's basically a tickle me Elmo, but a Goldberg.
It was gold. Okay. It's just gold.
Tickle me Goldberg.
He didn't blow sparks or anything. But like, I definitely had a bunch of toys. But it was like they were like they weren't as bad as the 80s, 90s, like early 90s toys, but they weren't very posable. They would have like arms that would go up, just ball joints in the shoulders, and it was very rare that the legs could ever move for some reason on like WWF figures. Like you would be like cracking like somebody's knee to be like, okay, he's doing it.
Some of the accessories was great, like the Macho King had a crown and a scepter. Or was it Jake the Snake had a like Damien that used to wrap around his neck as well. So like a few of the little things came about. But coming back to the reason that we chose that, like I suggested this one for our first or your first episode, the first thing is because this is kind of like the pay-per-view that was shot and like say was in a big arena in the UK, and this cemented the UK audience that's still massive today for WWE back then. And this is where like WWE and WWF took the UK completely seriously, because they at this time we were seen as a smaller market, or not the big cheese. And I remember the craze, like a few of my friends actually got tickets and went to Wembley Stadium to this arena as well. And some of the like as we watched when you probably watched this event as well, like the crowds were nuts. I was gonna say, I love everything that was nothing like they've seen.
I love that this starts as well, like with like camera on the street with like a bunch of kids be like, "Oh, I'm here to see Davey Boy win."
Did you see the young Ben that was dressed as Macho Man?
It was really good outfit. Yeah. And there was like kids with full on like warrior face paint, where the mums had obviously spent ages and being like Undertaker, like all that stuff. I loved it, man. But yeah, like this was absolutely the first time I'd ever seen any like 92 wrestling.
Really?
I've probably seen like clips and stuff, but never like sat down and watched a full event. Like I said, there was some people who showed up who I'd never really heard of before, which we'll like get to. So I did,
and there's a couple that we'll not hear of again for good reason.
But I did. Oh my god, that was my first. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I did task Sloop with keeping the match list up just to keep us right on our wins and losses, because I've forgotten who won and lost most of these matches. But the first thing I did notice was the Legion of Doom were insanely over with this crowd.
Oh yeah. They always were back then. They always were.
Yeah. So. Big question, because I know you said this is the first experience watching early 90s wrestling. Did you know about the Legion of Doom pop before you saw the Road Warrior pop, as it was known back then?
Not at all, because like me and Sleep
so
watched
when you heard that come out, you just went, what the
fuck? No, I was like, oh, here we go. I've seen them in WCW when me and Sleep have been watching some Clash of Champions and they like appeared there. But that was absolutely, I was blown away by the crowd. Just like immediately stood up. Everything they did was over. They came out on bikes, like Biker Taker.
Oh, it was cool as fuck. I like I didn't enjoy the guy. It's Paul Ellering that was with
Ellering,
with the weird
creepy little puppet. Didn't enjoy the puppet.
I forgot completely about the puppet. I don't think the puppet gimmick stayed that long, to be honest.
No, I'm not surprised.
I used to always tell me mum and dad, I was like, why don't they just wrestle with the spikes? No one will ever be able to touch them. And they're like, because they will kill people.
But then you learn that it's just football pads with like spikes, and you're like, oh well, that's a little bit less interesting. This is where like HD cameras ruin some stuff, like getting the nicer picture. And who were they fighting though?
Money Inc.
Money Inc.
Now I want to say something about Money Inc.
Yeah.
Ted DiBiase, wonderful heel.
Yeah.
Knows how to really piss people off and get out of the heat and stuff. IRS, bless him for giving us Bray Wyatt because it's his dad.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, he is a vacuum of charisma. He has nothing. Nothing is fun about him. His promo was rubbish, and you need to pay your taxes, and you would know the royal family. Like, God, shut up and fucking wrestle. He's just boring. And he was boring when he went to WCW, because I know he was part of the NWO at one point.
Everyone needs a accountant.
I think we were part of the NWO at some point.
God,
one day
he's
I
just
will be.
dull as dishwater. Anytime he was in the ring, I was like, please just get Ted back in.
I wrote down that he was the best wrestler in the match. Like,
get away!
He's so talented. No, he was talented.
No, he was.
He was a great seller. He made the stupid mistake of wearing a tie. Who wrestles in a tie?
Donkey Kong.
Was absolutely ridiculous.
Bull Buchanan.
Yeah.
It's weird though that this was the first match on, because again, people's going to probably dispute this, or we'll have a few talkers. This was the best wrestled match all the way through the whole event. Like, as a pure wrestling form, Ted DiBiase was amazing. Animal was unreal.
Oh, the power
Hawk,
on him! Like,
it wasn't pissed at this point, so he was on form. And IRS sold perfectly. Honestly, it was, as a pure form, the best wrestled match in the whole card.
It was very solid. It was a very simple, basic tag match, but it worked. The crowd got into it because obviously LOD was so over. Everybody hated Ted DiBiase, and IRS was so boring. Everybody just was like, "Go away."
I thought,
and it worked in that sense. I've written it down that. IRS is supremely boring. I don't like the creepy Muppet lad.
No, not really.
It was very bad in numbers, but it was solid, and it's one of those matches. It's a good opener, because you don't want to get out there and spaff your load straight away and put the best match on first. You want to build up the crowd, get them a bit hyped. And
and obviously, I've seen like Hawk and Animal dotting around doing stuff, but this was the first time I'd seen them sort of in their prime doing the big power moves. It was genuinely impressive that he got like them up in the gorilla press, because none of these lads were like small in this match. Like, everyone's a beast.
Animal was a beast. Animal was just a pure powerhouse. What he would do,
like a proper power lifter, like stocky guy. Absolutely.
And he could move as well, though. That was the thing. But I think everyone just waited all the way through the match, because all they were begging for it was the Doomsday Device.
I know,
which was the greatest finishing move.
We didn't get it,
I
though,
don't want to
did
say
we?
it forever, because the 3D is always great. But the Doomsday Device, there's no way you can do it where it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's one of those, because you get. It's got everything that a good wrestler finisher needs. It has anticipation when it's can he lift him up? And then you're like, oh, the other guy's climbing up as well. So it takes some coordination. But I don't think they did it in this match, did they? They teased it, and I think they got knocked out of it.
But I just want to say, can I just do a shout out to Bobby Heenan, who said at one point that the Hawk looks like a dusty old pigeon, which I quite enjoyed.
Because of his face.
Just because he was getting a bit creamed by. I was getting creamed by either DiBiase or IRS, but he said, "Yeah, it looks like a dusty old pigeon." That really made me laugh.
Yeah.
So God bless Bobby Heenan.
So that's one question I wanted to ask you as well, because throughout WWE or WCW or any type of wrestling, you live and die by your commentators.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's say the commentators can make a match, can kill a match.
Yeah.
Where do you rate the commentators? Because Bobby Heenan, this was him at his height, when he was just basically full daft heel mode all the way through. There was no off switch.
I liked him. I thought he suited this. I don't Vince. I can't stand his tone when he goes, bah, bah, bah. Just chill out, mate. It really annoys us. And I've never really liked him that much. Yeah, that I don't mind, but it's when he does this kind of, and then he goes, he's like Jules Holland, where he just crescendos whining. You're like, what the fuck? Chill your beans. But I love Bobby Heenan. Jesse Ventura I always think's been fantastic as well. And at the minute, in modern wrestling, I really like Wade Barrett and Joe Thingy-Bobby on SmackDown.
Wade has always been funny on the mic and stuff, so I can see that.
Bobby Heenan's fantastic.
I thought Vince holds Bobby back, if you know what I mean. I feel like he was trying to bounce things off Vince, and Vince was just being like, "What are you talking about?" When he's like, and really, you need someone to engage with the heel commentator and be like, sort of
Like Gorilla Monsoon. That's why Gorilla Monsoon was so good.
yeah. Or like, you know, JR and King, where like King would say something ridiculous and the JR would question him on it. He wouldn't just say like, what the hell? Like, he would sometimes, but you know, like, like you need someone to go with the improv. And I think Vince was just like, I'm your boss, shut up.
Yeah. But at that time, I don't think that he wanted to give away that he owned the company in '92.
He's at a weird spot.
He didn't. He wanted to pretend he was his boss, but he didn't want to give away the fact that he was his boss.
Yeah, because when he got the crown out and he's like, what the hell? And he's like, look at my... I don't normally wear this.
I think it was when Shawn Michaels started like alluding to him as boss man and stuff like that. It started to my realization that Vince McMahon owned this company. I was like, oh shit, that's a new information. But this at this time was just color commentary of Vince, which again, he has his up and downs, but I think Bobby Heenan stole the show with this one all the way through.
He had all of his British references as well, like just like random.
Henry VIII, and I think he mentioned something about Winston Churchill knowing Mr. Perfect or something. And you think, so like, okay. Earl of Sandwich, I think, also got mentioned.
I did. Yeah. Which is very like, we don't talk about the Earl of Sandwich here, like Americans. I'm sorry, like it's just not one of our references.
No, Earl Grey. Yes, not Earl of Sandwich.
But
please.
Sandwich.
They sent the crowd home happy with a big old LOD win, though. You know, like the heels get run out of town. You know, like just roll out. I was a bit sad that Ted DiBiase didn't like have any mic time to be like, you know, like your British pound is nothing compared to the dollar and stuff like that. I thought it I thought it would write itself, you know, like that kind of thing.
That's what was stupid though. They didn't they said they let IRS speak. And you've got Ted DiBiase right there. Yeah. Let him talk.
Let him come out before, like,
better.
Let him come out and be interrupted by the LOD. The crowd would have went nuts.
I do also want to say well done to Ted DiBiase for repping the old school high pant trunk. I love seeing that. Like Roddy Piper always used to wear the high pant trunk, even in 1995 on WCW. Didn't give a shit. I love seeing that.
It's like a wrestling girdle. Smooth yourself out.
Proper high trunk, flat arse. That was the early 90s.
Over the belly button.
Keep it sucked in just in case you're a bit bloated.
So then my next note just says,
we saw Ted DiBiase last year, wasn't it? At the
He was at a Comic Con, I think, up here, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think we took a picture, like, just with him in the background.
Oh.
Did anyone think that he looks vaguely like Noel Edmonds, though? I've wrote it down that he looks a bit like Noel Edmonds.
Like,
yes, 90s he was rocking the beard.
Feathered hair as well.
Beautiful hair. And his outfit was fantastic as well.
Aye.
Brilliant costume.
He didn't have the $1 million belt at this point, did he?
No.
But my next note says Ric Flair is here, so I guess that means there was a backstage segment with coked up Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I could not tell in Rick's interview what the fuck he was talking about.
No.
I was like, he was just getting redder, and his eyes were getting more bulging. I was like,
it gets like worse later on.
Like him.
Like after he's done a run in, he's just like, oh, Ultimate Warrior. And I'm like, I think he said Ultimate Warrior there. He's just. Oh, he's something else, that guy. But yeah, I didn't like write down what anyone said in the promos because everyone was just like shouting at Mean Gene.
Yeah, I did enjoy
it. Try and get an impression.
I did enjoy. I know it's a little bit later on, but I did enjoy the Bushwhackers popping in and doing this.
Oh yeah,
the promo just doing this and going, "Hey, is it gonna? Which side's it gonna be on?" And then that was it. It was about 30 seconds long. There was no point to it whatsoever. Fantastic.
And they were like, "I hear you have the what was it, like London Bridge here?" And he's like, "The stupid teeth."
Something always makes us feel sick when I say the Bushwhackers. When I say the teeth, I was like, "Oh no!"
It's a bit much like in it, yeah. But this
stereotypes and stereotypes. But when they chew on their own caps and they've got bite marks on the caps.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Why is there chuck marks in the hats?
Yeah, and they can't stop moving. Like it's just so fun. Again, not something I've ever seen reflected in real world. You know, like that. I don't believe that they do that over there. I'm
not being funny. If you saw someone who looked like the Bushwhackers on the street, they would probably be in care. Or someone like helping them down the street.
Well, it reminds us of it is a northern reference for a lot of people. It reminds us of seeing Dave the Rave in real life.
Walking down Northumberland Street late at night.
Rave. Oh my god.
God.
The rave was the third bushwagger that they needed.
Okay,
Oh,
new
dear.
law. So I think I think at this point Nails just appears in the ring with no entrance.
God.
And
Just
I was like,
the worst.
I was like, who the fuck's this guy? He's just standing there. And I had
wrote down.
He
I wrote down. It looks like Jeff Daniels if he took a lot of crack
and became giant.
and just became like a terrible crim. Honestly, this match for me, was the worst match of the entire show. It was a fucking dog egg of a match. It was fucking terrible.
Aye.
Awful.
You know, I know Niels is like in infamy with WWE with how he went on and like all the stuff he did, but when he came into like WWF at the time, the build up for Niels appearing was done amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically again the big boss man involved. He was a former convict that the big boss man had put away. So each week it was hinted that Niels was going to come and seek revenge on the big boss man.
Yeah.
And
Good, solid.
It like honestly, the build up was amazing. Like weeks and weeks of vignettes, like videos of just a shadowy character, and you saw like the orange jumpsuit. You never saw his face, and when he turned up, it was like, who's this weird ginger bastard who just like
he was scary.
Didn't look like a wrestler.
Yeah,
it just looked weird. But his debut, the beat down he gave Bossman, no one had beat Bossman down like this before. It was so violent. It was so not 90s WWE WF at all. It was quite shocking. But it got him over, and then after that he had a thing with Virgil, which made no sense at all.
I think the problem with Nails is that the character was interesting, the build-up was interesting. Then they made him try and wrestle.
Yeah. And that's
and he doesn't, and he can't.
And
so...
like even just based on a look, like the suit doesn't look good in the ring. Like, you know, like Virgil at least has a look. You know, like I'm like, oh yeah, I see what this guy's about. You know what I mean? Like he matches his entrance and everything. I didn't realize as well. Like when Virgil came out, he got a pretty big pop, and then I thought, of course, because this is after he'd split from DiBiase because he'd stood up to women. Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Get in," and it was just bliss. Virgil was always just there for me. Like I never heard him get much of a reaction at all. Whenever I watched it, but then back then it was obviously because the whole DiBiase angle was really over because he was. Broke away, that sort of thing. Niels was just.
He just chokes him, like that's all that happens in the match. He's like, I'm choking you, I'm shaking you around, and the ref's like, 1, 2. It's like, come on, ref. He's choking that guy on the floor.
Yeah,
and he chokes him with the big boss man nightstick as well.
God,
it was just I just didn't understand, like you said, why Virgil and what was the angle? What was the point? What was the Was it just a squash match that they decided to put on a pay-per-view? Because it wasn't very long. It was probably 3 and a bit minutes.
No, I think it was to try and build Nails up, because they would build, like, surprisingly enough, because Vince McMahon always likes the big, weird-looking, tough guys, so they kind of saw him as going to be the next big heel.
Yeah.
Then, for some reason, Nails decided he wanted to fight Vince McMahon one time in the backstage and said, I want more money. And he got instantly fired on the spot.
And then he decided to go and do a comedy film with Jim Carrey, and everything was fine.
Oh, which one's he in?
No, Jeff Daniels on it.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say he was like... I thought he was going to be like in like Good Burger or something, you know, like he just shows up.
No, he was the dolphin in Ace Ventura.
Okay. Gotcha.
But no, I thought this match was balls. Absolute balls. There was like literally nothing good about it. And I know it was Virgil had a
after the Legend. It kind of killed the buzz.
Yeah.
Because you were like on fire, on top, saying, this is amazing if they're going to keep bringing this out. And then it kind of like went...
This is kind of like a low point, I feel like, in the pay-per-view. Like, obviously it's like... As in, but like it carries on, I think, into the next match. Because I just wrote down sloppy choke match. That was all I could think to write, because it literally was like the choke spot over and over again, and him just shutting down anything Virgil was doing. But then we get the recap from Sensational Sherry and
Hold on,
Oh,
you're
sorry.
missing out Alfred Hayes. Lord Alfred Hayes in the back doing a little promo about investigating the dressing rooms and going, where is the man? And it was brilliant. He didn't blink for the entire promo, and it was at least a minute and a half long.
When he's trying to get in people's doors, it's like, I'm going to shut the door, and you're like, oh.
Trying to find out where Mr. Perfect is going to support, and you think, oh, Alfred's Columbo for the night. How marvellous.
Don't go in the locker room. No one needs to see what's going on in the locker room at that time.
They did something with like Steve Martin, didn't they? Like looking for the Undertaker one time. They had this kind of like.
Oh no,
thing.
it was Liam Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen. Sorry,
Nielsen, yeah.
That was 94, I think.
Yeah.
94.
When they had the Undertaker versus Undertaker match, didn't they?
Yes, the fake Undertaker. Oh man.
God.
But yeah, then we get the Shawn Michaels, Rick Martel, who was another guy I hadn't actually seen in the ring, just heard
good wrestler.
Tell of. And I guess the story is Sherry was like, I kind of like this guy, but I also kind of like this guy, and that was basically the whole angle. They kept on saying he was a model, and I was like,
Yeah, Rick the Model Martel was his gimmick at the time, and he had a perfume called Arrogance or something, or was that before this?
I used to spot and spray it with the big
on the crowd.
You always hit him with arrogance.
This is kind of like the match that didn't catapult, but kind of sent Shawn Michaels to like in the direction of where he kind of wanted to be, like the show stealer, the entertainer.
Sherry, a bad lad.
Sensational Sherry was this. I don't think she's ever looked better than in this match as well. Probably WrestleMania Caesar Palace. I can't remember the number now.
9.
When it was basically Shawn Michaels versus Tatanka. That was when it was like everyone was dressing like Romans and stuff. But
yes,
she looked amazing there. But she looked fantastic in this match. Like you could not, like you stop watching the match and you're watching Sherry.
Sherry's ass.
That's
what I wrote. That's what I wrote down. Sherry has her full ass out, and also she has SS wrote on her face, which isn't a good look these days.
I've got this noted down as the Sexy Boy Himbo match.
Yeah,
right.
And then our question, right? So at the very beginning, they said Shawn Michaels was £240. Later on, they said Davey Boy Smith is £250. Somebody is lying there, and I think it's Shawn Michaels. I don't think he's £240 in this match, but I really, really like this. It was very much a storyline match. So the wrestling wasn't, it's not like Bret Hart Clinic sort of brilliant.
No, it was like a house show match, wasn't it?
It was all story. It was all story. I enjoyed Bobby Heenan's whistling along to the entrance music as well to Sexy Boy. I did enjoy that. I didn't enjoy Shawn Michaels' mullet because it looked a bit crispy.
He had tiny glasses on as well, didn't he?
Little tiny glasses and his crispy hair. Like, he gets better when he gets older and conditioning it, but I wasn't a fan. And there was some bum cracks. I noticed they put each other's pants down very briefly as well, so that was nice. But I like this. I thought it was a proper it because the previous match had really drove the plane into the ground. This had brought them back up a bit and involved the audience. He has a bit more story to get into. You're not just watching two guys go back and forth. You're watching stuff on the outside. You're watching this little bit of plot unfold in front of you. And like you said, Paul, Sherry was fantastic, and the whole fainting thing. And
oh god,
that was hilarious. She's like got bumped off the thing, lying down, then pops up, looks around, goes.
Did you see how the cameraman got that really good shot as well? We had her in the foreground, and he was like, they're fighting on the ramp, and I'm gonna have her knocked out.
But I thought it was solid. I thought it was quite
a kind of violent bump as well on the ramp on the way back.
They dropped her 4 times, I think.
Sherry knocked her.
Did you notice that Vince McMahon made a Twin Peaks reference at this part? Just so he could say twin cheeks.
I'm sorry, didn't notice Vince McMahon.
No, he was like, just like that show on Friday nights, it's twin cheeks, when she was getting carried.
I did have it down that Bobby made a moon joke. When he
Yeah.
said, "What's that?" You could say, "Oh, it's the moon," and it was talking about our arse. But
Yeah. Yeah, and then Vince
but
just kept being like, "She is truly sensational." It's like, right, settle down,
calm
Vince.
down.
Was this the point where the not the weather turned, but it was starting to get dark, and
Yeah,
that was when the
Mm.
atmosphere started kicking in as well. Because I do love a stadium match, but when they do the started too early, I hate it when it looks too light.
I
Yeah.
You don't get the same vibe, or it doesn't have the same buzz.
Yeah.
And so this is where it starts getting dark as well, and you start getting, oh, this is getting interesting.
And I know we're like early days, but I was a bit surprised there was no like fireworks for Sean, because I think that would have livened the crowd back up if a little
Was
boom
he
had gone
over?
off.
I don't know if he was is over at this point.
No,
in
probably
terms
not.
of
This
like
was 2
getting
weeks
pyro.
after the. I think this was 2 weeks after the barbershop, wasn't it?
Ooh, so he's in a
Or
bit
it
of
might have been
a...
a bit longer. It was close to the barbershop, I'm sure.
It's not far after.
So he's in
I
the
don't know how
period
long
where
after.
he's like, I need to figure out which way I'm going, because the crowd's scared of me after that thing.
No, I
Pick
think
Marty Jannetty.
I'm wrong. I think because Royal Rumble was 2 weeks after, because they had like the face-off with Marty in the Royal Rumble, and then didn't do anything with Marty and Sean again after that till about 30 years later or something like that. But then, so this was SummerSlam, so it was after WrestleMania as well. So
Okay.
it was I'm sure it was the same year as the barbershop.
Yeah,
Oh.
just a few months afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well it's a bit naff that this was less than 10 minutes. I would have liked to have seen. Again, I know it was a story match that's designed not to be like 15 minutes long,
Yeah.
but it would have been nice as a little bit more wrestling in it, just a tad.
Because they
Because
spend
they're both great wrestlers. as
Yeah,
well.
they spend a lot of time on the ramp, and they even do the old like ice bucket, like, you know, clown move where it's like,
Oh yes.
And then she
Forgot
gets
about
totally dunked and just dropped on the floor. So I don't really know what the vibe was with Sherry. Like, was she like well liked backstage and stuff, or is this a rib, or is this like, was she down for it sort of thing?
The wrestlers loved her.
Okay, that's nice.
I think the problem with Sherry is she never wanted to be a valet. She just wanted to be a wrestler.
Okay,
Who
well,
was a
that
wrestler? She used to wrestle previously, because there's stuff of hers on YouTube from like the late 80s. Very, very early 90s, but mainly mid to late 80s. And she was a pretty good wrestler. I think she did babyface and heel. I don't think she was particularly one or the other, but the stuff I've seen should be mainly a heel.
Well, that's good then. That makes me feel better, because I was like, are they just bullying her for some reason? I don't understand.
She was always up for it.
That's good.
I think because she always wanted to be involved, and I think because at the time women wrestling wasn't a big thing in WWE. They had maybe one match or two matches a year where they had like a big event or anything like that. Like it was quite it was quite strange to see a woman wrestle. So they used to always make them the valets or the managers and stuff like that, where Sherry just didn't want to be that, like, oh, look at me, I'm beautiful. She always wanted to kind of get involved. So that's why she was always interested in taking bumps or actually getting violent as well, which was always hilarious to see.
Yeah, because I bet like getting knocked off the apron was a bit rarer for a woman, even though that's kind of like that just became like the trope in the 90s and stuff. Yeah, that was just how they got like quick heat, wasn't it? Like, oh, he's accidentally knocked Trish over. Like,
oh my god, he's Tombstone Tory. What the hell?
Yeah, and it would just like be talked about for weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so after this match, you know, when they just walk backstage all, you know, after the house show stuff, this is where the Nasty Boys are just inexplicably going like blah, 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 like gremlins.
They're like
I never got the appeal of the Nasty Boys.
I don't.
No, they weren't entertaining. The matches were terrible. Even when I was a kid, I thought the matches were terrible. The jokes and everything was so juvenile that I didn't even laugh at them. It was like,
I want to defend them a little bit. They do have some good matches. You have to find them, however.
Okay.
But the thing with them is they're usually not the best things in the match.
Right. They get brought along with someone else. Like elevated.
So there's a fantastic match, and this is not me being biased because it's got Cat distracting it, but one of my favorite like brawl matches from the early 90s or mid to late 90s or whatever is from Spring Stampede 1994 WCW, and it's Cactus Jack and Max Payne versus the Nasty Boys, and it is
The
just a
nasty
brawl.
match.
There's fire extinguishers, there's a shovel, there's garbage cans, there's chairs, and it's brilliant. And they're really good in it. So there are some good Nasty Boy matches. They're just not very often.
Yeah, like so the more,
and they have to be with the right people.
The more like street fight guys. Yeah, that makes sense.
You put them in a technical wrestling match to do holds. You're going to put them with Dean Malenko. It ain't going to work.
Was it Knobs and Sags? I don't think Sags could even do a headlock.
No.
He's going to headlock. Let's put you in like this. Right, got you. It's like let's give him the stink palm.
Yeah.
Oh god,
stick them in a brawl. You'd be fine with them. They just
Can you imagine if like forever you just got landed with the gimmick of like you're the smelly horrible man and for the rest of your life you have to do that whenever you show up anywhere.
All public appearances you have to be a smelly horrible man with a shit mullet and a missing tooth.
Aye. But this leads us into a big man match where it was the Natural Disasters came in, and like how happy did they look, like on the little like the pre-match card and stuff. They were like, we've got the belts. I was like,
it's Tugboat in it. That's Typhoon. It's the same bloke.
Yeah, Tugboat's Typhoon.
Don't you mean the Shockmaster?
John Tenter. I like Earthquake, but I cannot believe how old that man looks. He's literally 20 odd in that, and he looks 45.
Tell you what, though, the National Disasters, they were something that you would pay a ticket to go and see.
They're exciting for sure.
Yeah, because like say Earthquake, that guy, I know he was a sumo wrestler and everything before as well. He had no right to be able to move around the ring the size he was. Like I know he was careful; he never hurt anyone. Like the actually wrestlers have came out and said he was the most gentle person you'll ever meet. But having him sitting on my chest just gives me terrified, like even the palpitations just thinking about it. The Beverly Brothers was never something that I remember vaguely.
I'd never heard of them.
Because I remember the Genius used to Randy Savage's little brother or older brother, is it?
I think it's younger.
Is it younger? Okay.
Younger. He was renowned for just managing loads and loads of different people. He was actually a good wrestler as well, but I think with his size, he was never going to make it in Vince McMahon's world.
Yeah.
But like some of the people he managed, it was always like the Brain Busters or something like that. He was more entertaining than like most of the people. But the Beverly Brothers, I had nothing about. I was just like, I hope they get squashed, and they did get fucking squashed.
I don't get what. So was the gimmick that they were just rich,
like
boys?
Beverly Hills Boys? Yeah.
Is that the gimmick? Though? So they wore capes
some
with
of the
coat
best
hangers
shoulder
in them.
some of the best shoulder pads I've seen in a while.
When they were called, was it Blake and
Hugh and Blake.
Oh, and Blake. They were just shit, and I'm sure I read something about them, not to do with this match, but I'm sure they like really hurt somebody or another tag team in a match of theirs.
That might be why they disappeared.
Because it was so shit.
The boys won't put up with that.
And there was a bit. I think was there a referee bump in this, and they got fucking sandwiched. Between them, I was like, Jesus!
That might have been when they said the Earl of Sandwich thing. Maybe.
That'd be right. You might be
right.
I
wrote down that Typhoon's a bit of an unfortunate looking bloke, isn't he? Like, I wrote down he looks like Earthquake, but if they'd put like a toupee and drawn a beard on, like to make him look like Earthquake.
Sorry for the outfits they wore, because it was proper leotards. It was like they could have given them a show.
Oh,
I'd have been happy with these guys wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Typhoon looked like an E-fit. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think so, yeah. It was like a stuck-on hair.
It looked like the outfit, like we say, was starting to go inside of Earthquake at one point. I was like, oh no, it's getting sucked in.
Yeah.
Do you think they ever had to, did they ever get massive wedgies during their matches?
Oh, 100%.
I think some wrestlers have like secondary pants on under, to smooth out the crack. But yeah, hopefully Earthquake had plenty of talc powder, because we've probably all felt the sting of the thigh rub. But what I do absolutely love, his Earthquake finishing move is like insanely over. It hypes me up every time when he does the little stamps on the ground, and I'm just like, "Whoa, it's coming!" And then he does his
I do think that's a lost
splash.
art with finishers now.
Yeah,
with a lot of finishers, because like Shawn Michaels, like the super kick,
the stomp,
switching music was never like a amazing move, but it was like the build up. It was like the stamp, slowly getting faster. It was like getting the crowd. The rock bottom is the most stupid and idiotic move in the world, but the fact is, he does a spine buster, kicks them, takes the elbow pad off, and does all the movement. It's the build up that kind of like, oh, it's going to happen. And I know there's different ones to the rule, like Stone Cold Stunner can happen at any point. Randy Orton, the RKO can happen at any point.
Yeah.
But I think the build-up finisher is a lost art for a lot of different wrestlers now. They should bring it back a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sorry, Jake. I was just going to say, like, you talked about switching music. I ranted about this on Blue Sky, which I think, Jake, you liked it.
Yeah.
If the super kicks now are just like fucking sweets. If I had a wrestling federation, I would put all the matches on, and the one stipulation would be you have one super kick. That's it. No more. No more. If you do it, you get DQ'd, and you get. I'm going to be like Bill Watts. You get DQ'd, and you're out. You're out. You're lazy, and you're out. I'm sick of super kicks.
It would be great though, because you could book the Young Bucks, and then they would be in the match being like, I can't.
They would just crawl up on the floor and and be like, I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
Do you hear about the Young Bucks though? About they were going to stop doing the super kicks, but then they got endorsed by Nike.
Oh my god!
So the only reason they do super kicks now is because they've got a trainer endorsement.
Yeah,
they can still wear them. They just don't have to hoof them in the air. Just keep them on the ground.
That's the only reason that people are over them, because it's like, it's super kick
party.
How many super kicks and things?
It's literally in the theme song. The whole like super kick party.
Take out super kicks. Bring back all the pile drivers.
Yeah.
DDTs.
But not
snap them
back a good DDT.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a DDT tonight, because I feel like that's a protected move still, isn't it? Like a protected finisher.
Oh, this time Jake had the thing. So Damien's dinner time, it was called, wasn't it?
I got a free dinner by snake.
That's what it stood for, wasn't it? Damien's dinner time.
I don't know.
Sure
maybe
that's the DDT name.
Yeah.
If I never knew that. If that is the case, that's even better than what I thought it would stand for.
Yeah, because I don't know.
I'm sure it was. Like back in the day, that's what we used to call it as kids. It was good. Oh, he's going to do the DDT, Damien's dinner time.
Yeah.
If someone in the chat knows, tell us I'm wrong. I hope I'm not.
It's like when people used
like that'll be my childhood blown away.
No, it probably was at one point, and then when it like became a staple move, they probably had to like figure something else out. It was like kind of like when people would be like, "Oh, it's the Dudley Death Drop, like the 3D and stuff like that."
Yeah.
I'm not sure if maybe that does sound like something Paul Heyman would say now that I say it out loud, like the Dudley Death Drop. But
we're gonna get Jake to do his man crush now, is it?
Oh yeah, my literal man crush.
Oh god,
he was so cool.
He's not. You know what? I'm gonna come out and say I prefer Rebo Man.
I love
Rebo Man fan.
I love Rebo Man also.
Rebo Man was misunderstood for his time, and I love the way he doesn't walk like a normal person, like scuttles like sideways, like a little thiefy crab. The one thing that really annoyed us though is that in his outfit in this one, he had like printed on tire marks, where his original outfit he had like actual bits of tire pinned to his shoulders and stuff. And I said, "Where's that?
Is that
because
someone
please.
had ran him over when he was trying to repo the car? Is that what it's
it was? Well, he did. It was an episode of Raw, I think, that brought him in, and he stole Randy Savage's hat, and he stole one of the commentators. He repoed the car at the end of the episode.
It was his laugh. I think the 90s had people with weird laughs. Like the Rebo Man laugh. It was like,
yeah, and like in Ted DiBiase was that whole like, like a proper like.
Right. I want to know then, why do you like Crush? I just cannot understand.
Because he looks like an action figure.
Right.
First of all, he's like know
he wrestles like an action figure.
Yeah, no, but I just liked his moves. He had like all of my moves that I would pick for my creative wrestler. Or like and I'm a fan of the head crush.
Oh no!
It has a build up. He's like behind them, and he's like, "I'm gonna crush his head," and everyone's
But-
like, "Grr."
What annoys me about that is, right, so he needs 2 hands. This huge man needs 2 hands to crunch a man's head.
Yeah.
Fritz von Erich, you had a claw, he's went duh, like that.
Oh yeah,
But
no,
you, big strong boy, you need to do this on a small man with tyres on his outfit to make yourself look hard.
it was a bit.
I felt sorry for. I
Yeah.
did feel sorry for Crush in the 90s because literally they give him every single gimmick you could ever think of. Like his outfit in this match is hideous. It's one of the most horrible wrestling.
It's like
outfits
Captain America.
I have seen. Oh, it is worse than Shawn Michaels' like stripper outfit, anything like that. But like say, I think he was in one part. He was in Demolition.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
then.
He was with Regal Man in Demolition, I think.
Yeah. He was in. He was.
This is where they became friends.
Oh.
He was putting in like I'm sure he was in Legion of Doom for a certain point. Then he went to WCW and become part of Chronic, and actually got over as Chronic. One of the biggest. It was like Adam Bomb as well. Like
Yeah.
what was his tag team partner.
This
They
all
got over in
sounds great.
WCW then. Yeah, but I'd say every time he was like wrestling in WWF or WWE, he just couldn't get the thing.
Just didn't
I
get
think they
over.
did no, I think it did a thing with the 1, 2, 3 kid as well at certain points.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I read.
Yeah.
I was just sorry. I was going to say I read that after there was a point after he left the WWF after this time, he got arrested and spent some time in jail, and then he come back and he had that gimmick where he had the bloody nose ring. That's how I remember him, with the nose ring and the thingy. And he was in Nation of Domination very briefly,
Whoa.
and then he was part of DOA, I think. After that,
Yeah.
oh,
When they
they
had
were
the
shit.
faction wars.
Oh,
where-
the gang wars
God.
stuff.
DOA
Okay.
and Las Bariquas and all that. Oh god! But yeah, he was one of those wrestlers who was just. He wasn't bad, as in, technically poor
Yeah.
or whatever. He just, like you said, Paul, got given really mid gimmicks, and his wrestling didn't stand out. So he didn't really
No.
do very good promos. So he was just kind of there.
Oh, I didn't see
For
anyone
me.
else crushing
and his
anyone's
face
head.
expression was always the same. It was always like,
Yeah. Regardless of his babyface or
Okay.
heel nature.
Yeah.
Well, I just like head crush moves. I liked it. I liked the Iron Claw. I liked when Eric Rowan would do like the 2 fists on people's heads. I'm like, hell yeah.
I will also say Crush had a disgustingly crispy mullet. The worst crispy mullet.
It was
of
an
this,
action figures mullet.
Oh, it looked dry. It looked like kindling. It looked like if you'd put him near a naked flame, you got.
He won
straight
his
away.
lycra outfit
we're
would
going to
go
get
as well.
Sloop to do it like a chart now. Like say,
Crispy
on
mullet
the-
chart, happily.
Yep, we'll just like say tick off things and who had the crispiest mullet. Is this
Yeah.
2, 3, 4? Is this a 4 crispy mullet?
Yeah. This is an offensively crispy.
But
it just,
how? Like,
ugh.
but also, I did write down how amazing the Repo Man's music was. Like best music of the night. Like it's the proper 80s bop. Like, like I don't know what it just fits him. Like you couldn't use it anywhere else for anything else. It's kind of like it's like
Wasn't
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't Repo Man as well? Wasn't he IRS's brother or something like that?
Like in
I don't know.
real life or in
'Cause he's related to Bray Wyatt. He's Bray Wyatt's uncle, I think.
whoa.
Oh, is he not? No, I think Barry Windham's his uncle, but I think Repo Man might be his godfather or something. I think you're all right. I think they are related. in
I'm
some
gonna
fashion,
repossess the
perhaps.
baby. You haven't done your baby
Yeah.
payments. Repo Man.
My main complaint about this match was, apart from the fact I'm not massive on Crush and I didn't like the fact that he won,
Yeah.
is that Repo Man didn't get much offense in. It just
No.
felt like it was just very low on psychology. It was very low on ebb and flow, and it just didn't.
What's
It just didn't grab us. Didn't
what's
grab us this
what's
match.
Repo Man's finisher? Does anyone
He nicks your
know?
car.
He's got a big hook.
I don't
hasn't he?
know. I don't know actually what his finisher was, because he didn't.
Maybe we'll
he
find
wasn't
out.
That long lasting.
He didn't win.
Don't.
No.
Okay, maybe we'll find out one day. That's always what I'm interested in. What's the signature?
Repo Man homework, but I didn't. This was just a very mid match.
But
Again,
I thought it was the sort of most fun match for me so far. That's what I wrote down. Big crush mark, apparently.
Big crush mark, yeah. I mean, I'm a Rebo
yeah.
man, Mark. I was hoping for better.
Oh, true.
My boy.
Now we're really getting into it, though. Into the action figures come to life part of the night.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah.
It's weird though when this match came about, the intro and all the stuff they showed before the match was just so long-winded and went on far longer than it should have.
It was like a SmackDown.
Just get on with the match now.
It was like what they would show on SmackDown when they needed to kill 20 minutes. Like, this happened on Raw, and I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. Like, so yeah, what did happen, from what I could tell, was Mr. Perfect was playing these three guys off against each other, sort of being like, oh, I'll be in your corner, then like, actually no, I want to be in like the winner's corner, and then actually no, maybe I'm in Ric Flair's corner. But Mr. Perfect wasn't like wrestling at all. It didn't seem like he was kind of just standing next to these guys, so that wasn't as fun as it could have been.
I don't know if this was when I know Perfect was injured, but I don't know what he was injured with. I don't know if it was concussion or something.
I reckon it would have been his back. It was always his back that he had issues with. I think Mr. Perfect. I wouldn't be surprised if it was that.
And was this very much at the time where it was like the valet, like the manager made the wrestler, where it's like, oh, if you get Mr. Perfect, your wrestling level will be like elevated and you'll win more matches and stuff.
It's weird because Perfect at the time, he wasn't really a valet. He was more like he wasn't a commentator. He was more like I don't know how to think, like an interviewer. He used to do like backstage segments with people, or like vignettes with himself doing like the perfect football pass or like shooting a hoop. But he was never like, he didn't do commentary. Like I remember watching a match. One of the first matches I saw was him versus Bret Hart. It was just like a start of the match, start of the event, and it was so smooth and crisp. It was like, oh, these two are like literally perfect together. But then it was just like kind of like on like Saturday morning, not main event, but like when they had the wrestling shows, they used to have like someone got, I think it was Todd something, and like a wrestler, but start with Mr. Perfect as like a third person who would discuss this week's events, and he would always give his like opinions on what was going on, almost like that backstage show that they did a few years ago with Renee and Punk, where they brought Punk back to talk about the state of wrestling. It was kind of like that, but Mr. Perfect with his gimmicks in, they're just going, so no, all these chumps are not great, but then selling the heels and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if he's not wrestling, he's not backing up his stuff anymore, because I can imagine them doing a whole like, oh, no one can break out of the perfect plex, you know, like it's like the ultimate finisher type of thing. But yeah,
I love Mr. Perfect. He was great.
Oh yeah, I love that towel flip thing he does as well. When he comes out. Yeah.
he's a guy with a well-conditioned mullet.
Oh yeah, his hair is perfect.
Moistened,
never
moistened
moves.
with an inch of its life.
It doesn't move
it's
at all.
Fabulous.
Nice and
unlike Ultimate Warriors, who's got Esther Ranson hair.
Oh, I went with Anthea Turner.
But also legit. Anthea Turner / Esther Ranson. I did read up a little bit about this match afterwards, because the whole kind of back and forth with Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. So apparently the idea after this was Mr. Perfect was going to be working with the Ultimate Warrior, and it was going to turn Warrior heel. But then Warrior said no, because he didn't want to risk all of his merchandise sales. So he didn't want to turn heel. And so then they had to work it. Basically. So then what they had to do is pivot and then make Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior a tag team for a very short time.
Right.
And then I think Ultimate Warrior got fired in late 92 with British Bulldog because of the steroid trial. So then it got kind of just tapered off after that. So yeah.
There's so many backstage politics, not just with this match, leading, like it's the stuff that leaded up to this match and after this match. Because this was never meant to be the build, because this was supposed to be the build up towards Randy Savage versus Ric Flair.
Right.
But it wasn't never meant to be that. It was meant to be Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. But Hogan refused to work with Flair.
That's odd.
Surprise.
So they had to pivot and go, okay, we're leading towards Randy versus Rick as the main event for the next WrestleMania. And this was kind of like dropping the like the stones to start that. So that with all different WrestleManias like throughout the year, to start the planning after the first WrestleMania, and that was what was proposed. It was supposed to be Hogan versus Flair for the title, but Hogan, with Flair being a WCW guy, still that's why he was perceived in the WWF locker room. He was never going to. He didn't want to ever lose or drop the belt to Flair, diminishing like WWE or his legacy. So that's why they pivoted and put the belt on Randy, and then led up to the match at WrestleMania with Randy Savage versus where they'd done the weird Miss Elizabeth stuff, where Ric Flair was saying that he was having an affair with Elizabeth and taking these weird photographs.
We think he said that anyway. Oh, he's awful.
Uncanny.
Mine, like, I know I'm like jumping ahead in the match slightly, but they do a horrible number on Randy Savage where he's like in the figure four and like Mr. Perfect's punching him in the head, and I'm like,
at the same time,
you're gonna kill him, dude.
On Warrior, there was one thing you mentioned, the video package before the actual match. Warriors. Flesh and singlet is what I put down in one of them. One of them matches. I was like, "What the fuck is he wearing?" Like, I couldn't tell where it ended. I couldn't tell where it started. I felt horrid watching that clip. Absolutely horrid. And then his one that he wears in this match is quite fleshing as well, and it made me really uncomfortable.
The meat suit as
really
well.
I was talking to Jake about this because me and Jake watched this match together. There was a reason for that, because when Warrior came, this was the second return of the Warrior in WWE after he was fired the first time. He wasn't as jacked. Like, his arms was jacked, but he didn't have the physique down there as he used to. So he wasn't ripped to fuck. Like if you look at the Ultimate Warrior back in like early 90s, he was just muscle on muscle on muscle.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now he came back and he wasn't as built. He wasn't as well toned. So they basically put a muscle suit on him.
Like,
so if you look closely during this match as well, like where you would see like this singlet that was pressed up against him, it's just flat. There's no definition. Yeah. So
it makes sense because it worked really well for El Gigante, so it makes sense. Make him look more muscular. I didn't realise that was the reason why. He always looked supremely juiced to me in a really disturbingly veiny way. So
he looks ill, and like his head is like it comes to a point. It's very odd. He's very scary.
Like a shock.
I guess so.
Shock.
Botchmania would have a field day with this match as well.
Yeah,
the amount of missed bumps or things that didn't go quite as planned, it was always tough.
There was a few like shaky, like, he's lifting Savage up, but he's wobbling around and stuff.
This is what pisses me off when people go on about, he's botched, whatever. Yeah. Every single wrestling match has a miss move or a botch or a timing that's slightly off. It's not about the botch, it's about how they then recover from the botch and whether they incorporate it into the match. Like that one a few weeks ago was a Kofi Kingston was trying to powerbomb Rey Mysterio, missed him, and Rey just kind of blip like that. Yeah. They didn't panic, they just went, okay, we'll just do something else, and we'll come back to it another point. And that's fine. Yes, it was a botch, but they've made it work. It's when it's botched and they just try and repeat it straight away, or they then shit themselves and don't know what to do.
Which happened so many times in this match, though. That was the thing where it's kind of like over obvious. It's like, oh shit, I was meant to throw you into the ring post. I'll do it now. I was meant to sell this punches again.
Oh god, yeah.
It was almost, and I know this isn't a slide because it's what some of my favorite matches are Royal Rumbles. Yeah, it's like the amount of like missed punches, or oh shit, I shouldn't have punched you, or shit, I'm meant to be kicking you now, or shit, I'm meant to be in this corner. Yeah, this felt like a Royal Rumble match because like. Honestly, Randy Savage was trying to work with him, but it didn't look like the Ultimate Warrior. He's like, shit, this match is going over 10 minutes. I don't know what to do now. Normally I just bounce off the ropes and jump on you. He's like, with the worst finishing move ever made. Like, I'm sorry, Ultimate Warrior, that was shit. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, it's just normal things, and they have to call it the Warrior Press and the Warrior Splash, and you're like, really?
And the pounce, wasn't it, as well?
Maybe, yeah.
I do have a theory about Ultimate Warrior, is that he's very good at the moves, so the presses,
Yeah.
and the move. He seemingly has no idea of how to then string the match together and do the transitions between those moves.
Yeah.
And do a story. Clearly, Randy Savage knows exactly what the fuck he's doing and knows how to plan a match out and what to do between the spots and how to keep the crowd and all that. I don't think Warrior ever had any clue apart from shake the ropes a bit, mate.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the only thing that he did. So that's
do his
maybe
power
why
up.
I don't like him that much.
His no
do his
selling
power up
thing, which I hated because it was it looked so bad when like Randy was punching him and he was just no selling. I know it's like the thing he does, but the way he was just like jogging on the spot and stuff, it was like, this sucks.
He looked gassed as well from about 3 minutes in.
We had to run. Did you see how far he ran? Like the
through Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, the SummerSlam ramp way was like 3 times the normal size.
Yeah.
I still love the story with Andre the Giant and the Warrior. And I think I've told it before in the podcast, but I'll tell it again because it's such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
It's like they were building up to do Andre versus Warrior at like one of the big events. So they've done a few house shows together. And each house show, the Warrior would do the same move, bounce off the ropes and hit Andre with a clothesline to knock him out the ring.
Yeah.
And each time he would hit Andre so hard to make it look like he was knocking him out the ring that it was hurting Andre.
Yeah.
And he was like, bro, like, chill out. You've got to chill out.
It's a worked clothesline.
So the one point is, so Andre just started beating the shit out of him in the middle of the ring to the point where Ultimate Warrior went, okay, I'll go easy on you next time. And Andre went, you won't be here next time because I'm not working with you again.
Good for him.
Yeah.
If you're trying to work with someone who's just fucking beating you without sort of your consent,
I've heard that's like a thing for like an advice that people hand down to like big men and stuff. Like I've heard the Big Show talk about that, where he's like, people told him like after he was like, just doing normal wrestling, they were like, you're the big guy, if you don't want to like do something, you lead the match, like, because you're like a giant attraction here. It's like, if you don't want to get slammed, like, stop him from slamming you and make it look like, it's like a real like struggle sort of thing.
Who taught the Big Show that? And I think it's amazing, like, he had this conversation because he
Repo Man.
No, that would be classic. Would have been perfect. Because it was after a match and Stone Cold pulled like the Big Show at one side and went,
okay,
why have you just taken so many stunners from us? He went, what do you mean? You're Stone Cold as Steve Austin? He went, look at the size of you. Look what you can do in the ring. Why would you take 5 stunners off me in a row? Like, it doesn't make any sense. He went, don't do what the people in the back or anything are telling you what to do. Look at the crowd. If you think that's going to get you over, do it. But you're a giant. Act like a fucking giant.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the start of the Big Show then going, okay, I'm not going to sell as much or not take as much like a beating, because at the time when he was like Paul White, the Big Show before, when he came over from WCW, he was taking all these people's finishes, and because he wasn't as huge and he could take a few finishes, he was taking all these beatings, and he was like, they were like, I think Stone Cold was going, no, make them pay for you to do it. And that's when I think the next big thing he did was when John Cena picked him up, and that was the last time like someone actually hit him since thing. But Stone Cold pulled him to one side. Yeah,
it's interesting because like Stone Cold hung around with a lot of these, like, this era of like big guys like Rick Rude and everything, and like he learned a lot like from like driving those guys around. But yeah, that's awesome because that's the thing, when you're the big man, like eventually people are going to be like, what's good, taking down the big man is the thing everyone wants to see. But then you've got to like protect him in between, so it's not like he always gets thrown around. Yeah, Big Show's hopefully we'll run into him soon because he's an interesting guy.
But coming back to Summerland 92, the wrestling match between the Ultimate Warrior and Randy Savage descends into madness towards the end.
Yes.
Like an overbooked mess of just not knowing what's going on.
Hebner takes a big old couple of bumps in this one, which made me very happy.
I do like a Hebner bump, but he does take them well.
I know, and he deserves it. But yeah, so like this is the match where I was like, this is action figures like slamming into each other. Like this was like a sensory overload because Vince starts to lose his voice and he gets even higher. Yeah, he loses all of his like, you know, volume control, which
it's because it's muscly men touching each other and lifting each other up and
the striation.
I love this shit.
Ric Flair,
this pectoral region or some shit.
Ric Flair interferes in the match and does a brass knuckles spot, which he gets from the front of his pants, which is gross. He could have had some damn clothes on.
That he hangs a brass nut round his dong. That's why he takes it out of.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly.
That's what gives it.
I don't know if that's true.
That's what makes it hurt more.
The Flair foist upon it.
To be fair, he's in Manchester this weekend. We can always ask him. Get send someone down.
Yes, it's that for love of wrestling thing, isn't it?
We'll just go to the hotel bar. No doubt see him.
I think Dan's working it. We can ask Dan to ask him.
Oh no!
Amazing.
It was a bit. Sorry.
I was going to say, I will say one thing about this match. Yeah. As much as I don't like the Ultimate Warrior, I don't think he's a great wrestler. He's obviously, people love him and he's very over. And I'll accept that. It was very colourful. It was mildly diverting. It wasn't a bad match. It was a pretty decent match. The double count out, man. We've already had a double count out with Shawn Michaels and Rick Martel. To have another double count out on a pay-per-view.
For a title as well.
Yeah, and I get why they did it, because obviously this was meant to lead into something else and it didn't, and they had to, sounds like they had to change it on the fly a little ahead of the time. But it just felt a bit like... Ooh.
And like, it was all well and good doing the like Randy, like, because the hit like Warrior with the chair, and like Randy was like, no, that I haven't beat him properly, so I'm gonna be like noble. Then he just gets his ass kicked for it. And Warrior's
Randy.
like, you know, like, leave him alone, like we were having a a battle. But so that's that. I'm sure, you know, after this Ric Flair went on to be a dastardly heel and wreck everything up. But now we're into some real shit.
Just ask the question before we get into the offensive stuff. Is this the first time or first pay-per-view? I know the reasons why they did it for this, that the Intercontinental title was the main event and the actual championship was only mid-card.
Yeah.
So I can't remember many other events where like the titles were like swapped like this.
Yeah, I think it was only for like Bret, wasn't it? Because he was seen as like the Intercontinental Champion. Maybe there was some Pat Patterson business back in the day, but I don't know.
I think it was just because they wanted to get Davey Boy on the
absolutely
on the headline. That was but it's just weird that again, having Bret versus Bulldog perfect and having that as the main event makes sense, but it's a bold move having the Intercontinental title as the main event rather than the World Championship. Because, like, not saying Randy Savage didn't have a great title reign, but it shows it must have like diminished it a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine both these guys feeling a bit bad that they're not the main event because they were very like invested in their own like characters and everything, weren't they? But it definitely, they couldn't have had any other main event, and I'm glad we get like a proper wrestling match for the last one at least.
Because the next matchup isn't a fucking wrestling match.
No, Kamala and Kimchi versus the Undertaker, who comes out on the back of a car.
On the back of a hearse. That's exactly what I wrote. Comes out in a fucking hearse! !
Yeah,
I did enjoy that.
So it's interesting because this is very like early Undertaker. Like, this isn't even like Phantom style.
Is this his fastest ever entrance?
Maybe. Yeah. Because he's on a car.
I think it is. Because he's on a car. It's his fastest ever entrance in a pay-per-view.
He could not have walked. If he had to walk
would still
that
be
whole
there. Would still be there.
I do have to admit, I do have a thing. I loved gloved Undertaker, like the baggy gloves, because you used to always get like the move where he's like pulling his glove like
it's
this.
Creepy.
It was a bit more sinister, but they weren't very practical to wrestling, I don't think.
You had to pull it after every punch. You'd see me that.
Yeah. Well, he did loads of weird like uppercuts. That's all he was doing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, bad.
He was very over though, the crowd. Like he had the most signs that they showed, like where it was like, you know, like rest in peace, like Kimchi and Kamala.
It's because I think he was over at this moment in time between 1990 and 1992. Can't think of a great Undertaker match.
Not really.
No.
And I can't think of a match where he did like actual proper like proper wrestling, apart from a few punches.
There's a match.
Kick and maybe he's old school.
Is it a Mania match that he has with Hogan when he beats him for the title? I remember
that's even a short match because Hogan gets hit with the.
He tombstones him on the chair because, like, and I guess that's how they protect Hogan because, like, oh, he cheated. But I remember that being okay as like a very first sort of match thing.
He just at this point, I think he was just over because he was fucking strange compared to everybody else. He wasn't a colourful action figure. He was this really dark, brooding.
Do you know he was supposed to be?
Gloves.
He was supposed to be inside that egg, the gobbledygook egg.
Oh yeah, the gobbledygook egg.
Can you imagine him just crouched inside the egg?
7-foot man, or 6'10" or whatever he was. Yeah.
That was the first match I remember Undertaker actually having wrestling, like a proper wrestling match with Jake the Snake. When he was stopping Jake from attacking Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth.
Why did he do that? Because they'd had a magic spell or something to protect them.
Oh no! So Jake was going to attack Macho Man with a chair. He was hiding behind the curtain, and the Undertaker stopped him. And then they did an interview with Jake and Undertaker at the funeral parlor, and that's the one where he slams the door down on the Undertaker's hand and knocks him in.
Oh,
Jake giving some amazing promos, but I think it was like one of the curtain jerkers for one of the WrestleManias. But Jake and Undertaker, like Jake, just absolutely, it was like best Jake the Snake type thing.
It's fun as well because I don't know if he had the religious gimmick, but that against the Undertaker is a very fun idea. Like,
no, not then. This was very druggy.
Okay.
This is pre-born again, I think.
I can imagine that being great though, being like, you know, like he's a demon. I'm gonna cast thee out.
It was more Jake saying, "I'm more evil than you." That was the vibe that he was going for. But that was the first time I noticed Undertaker having an actual match.
Yeah.
Then, like later on, when he started, I can't remember when he did it. We started doing like the flying DDT or like then jumping over the ropes and doing old school and stuff like that. But wow, this was. Kamala, I can't believe they got away with doing something like Kamala. Even in the 90s, it was like.
I don't know why I don't know why they thought it was like exciting either, because it's like he's just a guy who's like acting like he's like from the jungle or something, and I don't know why you'd want to watch that as a wrestler much, you know, because there's nothing else you can do with that apart from, you know, he just comes in and squashes someone, or he, you know, meets the Undertaker who's too much for him to handle, I guess. Paul Bearer was here, but he didn't do a lot, which was unfortunate because I love Paul Bearer, and he's great.
Didn't even do it.
I didn't hear him if he did.
It's just sad.
I do think this was there just to build the Undertaker as a machine.
Oh yeah.
It was literally just like getting hit with everything and then just keep getting back up and just walking towards and Kamala doing scared face and running away.
He took loads of like his finisher, didn't he? Like loads of the big splash off the top rope, and then they were like walking away and he did the sit up.
What I did enjoy at the very beginning of the match when he got in the ring and the pan back out, you could see the hearse reversing out the camera shot. That really made us laugh.
I didn't see that.
And again, another thing that made this shit. It had a DQ finish. What's the fucking point? What was the point? 4 minutes of my life, 3 minutes of my life.
He's an undead wizard, man. Like, he doesn't care about the disqualification rules.
He's not undead at this point. It was mankind buried him alive. Then he was undead after that point.
I thought it was Yokozuna killed him.
Did Yokozuna kill? I thought Yokozuna just took his.
Because they had the casket match, and I can remember. Jesus, it's just come back to us. So
is that where he appears on the Titantron as well?
Yeah, and all the Yokozuna's buddies and friends
Yes.
like jumping on the casket because the Undertaker's been destroyed.
Oh yeah, okay.
Killed, and they're pushing it away. Then the lightning bolt hits the coffin, and you see the Titatron going, "I will never rest in
So he
peace."
died
And his eyes
twice.
Oh yeah.
So he died twice, yeah.
Wow.
But they actually had the Undertaker's spirit leave, like through like almost like a ghost.
Yeah. It came on the
Honestly,
video
it's the funniest
screen.
shit you'll ever see. And then
It's as good as my
that's when-
effects.
Then they had Ted DiBiase bringing back the fake Undertaker, and they had then
right. Okay.
like say Leslie Nielsen doing an investigation to try and find the real Undertaker.
You're
So
my clone.
it was hilariously done.
He's died one more time that I can remember. When at WrestleMania 20, when
Is that fight away?
no,
Is that when
Kane
Seth
buried
Rollins
him
thing?
alive. Like Vince was feuding
Oh
with,
yeah.
and unmasked Kane buries him alive, and then there's all them things where Kane's in the ring and it like keeps on blacking out and like playing the music, and he's like, "You're dead." And then he comes back at WrestleMania 20 as the new undead Undertaker after Biker.
Oh, how many times can you die, man? Jesus.
He's the only one who has like the magician's flair in wrestling, where it's like he gets it. He knows how to roll out of the coffin, at the right time, so it can
Yeah.
explode. But yeah, it's he's always fun to see. I mean, I don't like the guy as a person, and he's very boring now that he talks on camera. But when I was a kid, it was like Undertaker's just the coolest guy in the entire world, and Kane is also the coolest guy in the entire world.
Undertaker's gimmick was was just great because it was just so different.
Yeah,
and frightening but interested at the same time. I like being scared. Stuff, but being fascinated at the same time. Like, what's he going to do next? The man's dead. He's not dead. Oh my god, he's in a boiler room. What's happening here?
Now he can shoot lightning, and he's a goth.
Like what? Look, he's strapped Stone Cold with a big cross, lift him in the air. What the fuck's going on here?
I have to shout out Bobby Heenan as well. When the hearse was coming down, he was like, "Look at that idiot! The steering wheel's on the wrong side," as if it was like the driver's fault. Like.
Bobby.
So yeah, it was an interesting experience, but I think it's one of those that didn't translate through TV as well. Imagine being in the arena and seeing the Undertaker like that. That would have been, as you said, the crowd went crazy.
Aye.
The next match, I only watched it the other day, and I still can't remember. I've forgotten all about it.
Oh well, what I was gonna say is everybody ready for some bagpipes?
Roddy Piper, eh?
Could he actually play, or was that a worked pipe?
No,
that wasn't him playing.
It was.
It was. So he actually learned bagpipes in his high school.
Wow, because he was good. If that was legit him, I was
and
like,
if you actually watch
impressed.
it, you can tell he's actually playing along. He's moving his fingers and everything with the other guys.
I just thought it was just like, I was like, Roddy, what you doing?
No, it was him.
It was a shoot bagpipe performance. Yeah, awesome. Yeah. And I think who do we get? Oh, we get a quick interview with Bret in his awesome jacket and sunglasses. Like, I wrote this down as well. Like, Bret looks so much cooler than everyone else on the roster. It's just insane, and he can wrestle better than everyone else on the roster. So I'm just like, this guy has just got everything.
And another thing, I think he does his best promos when he's a heel. So in '97, when he was a heel, his promos were fucking great. When he's reeling against America and he's reeling against Shawn Michaels, and here where he's the heel because it's against British Bulldog, he's just he's got this just something. When he's slightly testy and bitter, he's just fantastic on the mic.
It's like a really cool vibe to the match because he's like, yeah, Davey Boy's my friend, but I don't think he's worthy of a IC title shot, and it's kind of like, oh, this is a bit odd, considering he's family and stuff. And then we see Bret Hart's sister, who is exactly the same as him, but just way more monotone.
Blonde.
Yeah, just this is gonna be a real good match, and I don't know who to back, and it's just all right.
I did write down there Bulldog about Bulldog's promo is that he does his promos he's reading them off cards that are behind the camera, And
He's like a
also,
little lad, isn't he?
Yeah. And he says about 3 words, and he's really got to think what he's saying. He's trying to catch up with what he's just said, and he's gonna say 3 more words, and he's gonna do it again. And I also noticed he looks quite swole here, and he's got them stretched marked pecs.
Okay, yeah.
Which always tell us he's on the roids.
Always tells you Mr. McMahon was like, good job in the gym today. Think you can get any bigger?
I got pro.
Yeah.
But I thought this is a really good angle, because it was, you had family involvement, and it was believable because there was an element of real life in it. They were brothers-in-law.
Yeah.
That he was married to his, they had all that thing, and then there had already been, I don't know if there had been an Owen Bret rivalry before this. I know there was one in '94, and then a little bit one after that. I don't think
because Owen was just kicking about in the Rockers, so he wasn't.
So this might be the first time that they used the whole Hart thing.
Because it was like Owen Hart was like Coco Beware, wasn't it?
Okay.
Then.
So, yeah, it's another good example of how wrestling like blows the line. Like that's probably when it's at its best, when you're like, oh well, I know this is like a fake storyline, but also it is the real life family situation and stuff like that. So you can believe some of it.
Doing this after that. I think after this one they had later on the Bulldog versus rivaling with Shawn Michaels, and they used Diana again there, where they said Shawn was flirting with Diana.
Yeah,
so that's why British Bulldog was going after him.
So
at
Shawn
that point.
became the sensational Sherry character. But
he was always the boy toy.
So I wrote down immediately like, oh no, not the MIDI Bret Hart music, because it was probably like but yeah, they hadn't I mean, they could have recorded one. It's the friggin' 90s, like, the 80s guitar was very much a thing, but yeah, it was MIDI, unfortunately. But I thought Bulldog started out wrestling like really well. He did that like lucha wrist lock reversal, where you do like the roll and the flip back up on your feet and then swing Bret like background. I was like, whoa, he knows like some lucha moves. Like I've never seen him do that before.
He always did that. Like him and Owen Hart did it quite a bit as well when I used to watch it. But you can find loads of his really old stuff on YouTube, like the stuff he did in the World of Sport and in the British wrestling sort of stuff before he went to WWF.
Mm-hmm.
And he's thin as hell compared to what he ended up being. But like, secondly, he was like a really good, proper technical on the mat, doing all that, and then reversals and shit. And then he just gets so big and bloated that he can only then do it occasionally, which is why in 1992 it's like, whoa, start the match before I get gassed. I'll do a few with this, and then I'll just go to chin locks because then I need to breathe. And then Bret needs to whisper in me, what I need to do next.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think though as well, because with Bulldog, when you look at him, you would think he is Vince McMahon's man.
Yeah.
He was everything they wanted to do. This was the first real title that Bulldog had won in WWF at the time. Before this, the only thing the claim to fame, and this is where he used to get the piss taken out like so much between the fans, all he'd won was a battle royale where he got a trophy. That was the first thing that the Bulldog had ever won, like in a wrestling for WWE. I thought at the time, sorry, I keep going backwards. But yeah, this was his first title, spoilers, that he actually won at WWF as well. So this was meant to be the like springboard for like Davey Boy, but it ended up being the springboard for Bret.
Yeah, because 4 months later, Davey Boy was no longer with the WWF.
Oh, is that how long it was? Wow.
November. Him and Warrior went in November, both of them, and this was in August. So 4 months.
God, I'm sure there is. Don't they do like another English event where Bulldog gets like beaten up at the end, and it's like really like awful?
That is, that's
that was the European tour where he falls in the mat and twists his knee. Because did you notice the mat for like outside mat for this was like about that thick,
right? Okay,
compared to like say the thin mats outside of the ring. So I don't know if it was like health and safety UK, but there was a match where Davey Boy fell between the mats and twisted his knee, so he got legitimate injured. But I think the comeback was a cage match where the Hart family were all going over the top of the cage to try and get forgotten who Bret or someone was fighting, and Davey Boy was one of them, and that was kind of like bringing back Davey Boy into the WWE.
Right,
He
to
wasn't
make the save.
as big, but
Yeah.
and he got rid of the weird choice in hairstyle, shall we say?
Oh God, yeah, the
braids.
white dreadlocks as we were calling them.
Gross, absolutely.
It's,
How did that not just put someone's eye out when they were wrestling? Like,
I know, because he had little
like,
beads
they
on
hit
them
the
and
fi-
stuff, didn't he? Oh,
I only watched a match of his when he was in WCW where the beads were coming out of his hair when he was wrestling. I'm sure it was against Regal or somebody.
My British Bulldog was in jeans with short hair.
Yeah, the dad jeans.
And his horrible music where it was loads of dogs barking at the start.
The one, sorry Jake, the one that you're thinking of, the British pay-per-view where he lost in the main event was one night only. I think that was in 97.
It's really
and I
sad.
think that was Intercontinental as well, because I think it was against, was it Shawn Michaels?
I think everyone
was like, "Oh, Davey's gonna win because it's in Manchester or Birmingham."
And I think I think he probably
didn't.
gets the shit kicked out of him by like the full stable at the end and everything, and it's like,
it's DX. I think that come in and shooting the shit out of him.
But yeah, no, I like this because Bret was working like the cocky heel, like where he's like slapping him on the head and stuff, and like being disrespectful. It being like I'm better than you. Yeah. Bobby Heenan was calling Bulldog ugly a lot, and he was just like, "You think we can get a stamp with his face on and all that stuff?" Like, did we ever get British Bulldog stamps?
No,
I'd have one.
Probably not.
But this is like, if you want to showcase how good Bret Hart was, I think showcasing this match is just like typically what he can do with very little to work with as well, where it's just basically him trying to, as Sloop said, walking someone through step by step and keeping them safe at the same time. Honestly, when we use the word excellence of execution, it is just like describing Bret Hart to a T.
Yeah, even just like his... Sorry,
No, Jake, you go first.
I was gonna say, like, even his like silly little transition moves, like like the chops or like the stomps he does, like it just all looks perfect and like leads into the next thing. Like you were saying, Sloop, about how Warrior can't link things together. Bret's like all links, like everything is linked.
Everything feeds into the build of the match as it should. Otherwise, it's just wasted motion, isn't it? You know what I mean? What I was gonna say was just my main criticism of the match is that there is a lot of rest holds, but when you think about the context of the match, it is because Bret is having to say to Davey, "This is what we're doing next," so he has to kind of get down, get him on the mat, and talk him through what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
And Paul, were you saying that like Davey Boy was like way too nervous for this match as well? Because obviously,
his face, wasn't he?
Well, I think
it's on the drink.
That many,
yeah. Because think about it. It's nuts. Because he's like, right, I'm the home country boy. Like the entire pay-per-view is resting on my shoulders. So I can imagine.
I think Bret had to actually drag him out as well because he wasn't going to come out. At one point, I think he was that fucked up. But it's amazing, as I said, because he didn't know where he was or anything. He like did interviews and stuff where, like, I think Bret talks about it now. He says Davey just was on a different planet, like
shut
from
down afterwards.
Like, I don't think he was on the Jeff Hardy level where he was that intoxicated that he couldn't walk. But he basically just couldn't wrestle. He didn't know like any of the moves, where Bret had to walk him through step by step, literally from like doing a headlock to move. It was crazy how, and when you watch it back, you can't notice it. There's certain elements, as Sloop said, with the rest holds, but like, I think that's more to do with how Bret, if Davey was in with anyone else, this would have been bad. Imagine if we had Davey versus the Warrior.
Oh. Which is a very that on paper that is a choice that you might make, and it's like you could even but I like Bret, like you say, he carries him through the match so much so that I didn't even really notice. Like I was like, oh, this match was great, but I guess
there's probably only two bits, two very brief, maybe 10 seconds where you can see Bret put his mouth into Davey's head because he's mumbling to him. But apart from that, you're right. You genuinely can't tell exactly what he's saying and when he's saying it, and that's another criticism I have of like really modern stuff is that you can hear and see
Like
people
John
call
Cena.
so much more now in comparison to like back then. But I guess kayfabe was still in '92 when it was all a little bit different, and it's not in anymore really. But
wrestling definitely lost some stuff with the HD audio and visuals. Like it kind of it took a dive in the sort of, like, the outfits didn't look as cool as you thought they did. They've got a handle on it now. It's all good now. But there was definitely a
and then
rough
you have
patch.
them promos where everyone's got like massive paws. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I want it to be slightly smoky and like Vaseline, like old WCW.
Yeah,
it's just a little bit trashy.
I wasn't impressed by
when
the
you see Dwayne's lines wrote on his wrist as well.
Oh yeah, he's never said an original word on television. I'm telling you now. But I didn't like the finish really, because it was a very much like blink and you'll miss it type of reversal thing, because it was like he gets the sharpshooter in on him, but then like suddenly there's like off the rope sunset flip 1 2 3, and there you've got it. Like it was just like, all right, like it sort of came out of nowhere for me.
It was very much protecting Bret.
Definitely.
I think that was the thing. It would, like, it's almost like these old school wrestlers where they've been hit with a finisher, and instead of just kicking it, like taking 1 2 3, it's like 1 2 3, then kicking it. It's like, oh,
Hogan
I almost
did that.
kicked out. It's like, oh
yeah. Hogan did that every time, I think, pretty much. Every time he got pinned, he would kick out on 3. But yeah, then we get the whole like big celebration, all the Brits.
It's a nice bit at the end. Yeah, I like the bit at the end where they had, Diane came in.
Yeah, and he almost didn't hug him. He almost got out the ring and stuff.
Yeah,
that's a classic.
Bit of sportsmanship. Bring the family back together and end the feud. And we've seen Davey Boy is worthy of having a championship, but Bret Hart is still a good man and is still a very good wrestler. So nobody lost here. Everybody's happy. Apart from me, because I had to sit through Kamala versus The Undertaker.
Yeah.
And that horrible dog egg of a match, Nails versus Virgil. Never mind. Never mind.
No, I had fun. It was weird, and like it was like, who's this? Who's this? Like every other match was like someone I'd like never seen before or just heard like mention of and never bothered to like look them up. But no, it was a very fun like dip into 90s wrestling, because I came in like way later. Like my granddad was probably watching some of this stuff, and like he probably like told me.
Way to make Paul feel old.
No, my granddad
was watching this.
Yeah, no, my granddad was a proper one of those old guys where he used to watch World of Sport, and then he just
in my day.
No, he just kept watching it up to like like he died pretty much. We would still talk about wrestling every now and then, be like, "Seeing what that CM Punk's getting up to this week."
I think back then wrestling was a very different.
Yeah.
Like now everything kind of flows into one. Like Raw. Yeah. Almost feels like a pay-per-view. SmackDown feels like a pay-per-view. The pay-per-views were a very different feel to the actual weekly shows, to the televised shows, to like the build-up. It was very much like almost like a cartoon to the degree, like the characters and stuff, where the focused on the main of like the pay-per-views had more of the wrestling now, which sounds strange saying it out loud.
It's backwards now, really, isn't it? Where it's like
so that was the whole thing, and that was the vibe back in the day. So, like stupid matches like Rick Martel versus Shawn Michaels, there was a month's worth of build up just for that match. They wouldn't just put it on just to say, "Oh, this is what's happening." There used to be like things where like, like I don't know what's happened, but they probably had Repo Man stealing Crusher's car. So going in for weeks where Crusher's going, "I'm gonna take that Repo Man," and then
not the Crush Mobile,
not the Crush Mobile,
the WWE Crush Hour.
But again, they knew how to sell the tickets, because they had to really sell the tickets back in the day. Now they can say, we're putting in a pay-per-view, and people go, yeah, I'm going to watch it. We'll call it Backlash, and it's like, oh, it's amazing. Or let's watch it to see the bloodline, or what's Sami Zayn going to do next. Or who's Kevin Owens going to turn on in the next 15 matches? That's going to be the same thing over and over. Sorry. I love Kevin Owens, but it's getting old now. But yeah, it's just like back then. It was like I think after this, they had this or before, where they had Warrior versus Papa Shango. and they had really weird stuff where stuff would come out of the Warrior's head because Papa Shango would put a curse on.
Oh yeah.
And that was building up to the next pay-per-view where the Warrior and Papa Shango, it's like, and again, Piper's Pit or Undertaker at the funeral home with Paul Bearer. All these little segments kind of built to the pay-per-view, so you kind of wanted like to watch like really random stuff happen. But
what has more production value, Piper's Pit or Top Grumps on Nerdy Up North?
Probably Top Grumps. That was the thing, because all Piper's Pit was basically Piper in his kilt hitting people with coconuts.
Makes sense to me. That's always been what I've strived for: the production values of a '90s TV show. But yeah, that was Paul
Bearer going, "Hello there."
Yeah, I need an urn with Adam's power in it as ghostly essence. But yeah, so that was our first foray into the world of wrestling. I believe, I don't know if you have an idea ready, Sleep, but I do believe I gave you first honors of picking the next show that we look at.
I do have a few ideas. The only issue is it's WCW.
Okay,
There's a couple of WCW ones that I think would be interesting. They're kind of early '90s stuff.
Yeah,
but it's if I can get a hold of them because they
WWE
haven't put them on Netflix yet, or anywhere. Or there is a couple of WWF ones.
Okay.
That I've got an idea about, but I don't know. It depends. So my ideas were Halloween Havoc '93, which is fabulous.
I love Halloween Havocs.
Spring Stampede '94 because it's genuinely one of my favorite WCW pay-per-views ever.
Okay.
What was the other one? In Your House Canadian Stampede, which is my favorite In Your House pay-per-view ever.
In my house.
And it's got Taka Michinoku in it.
Hell yeah.
So the one I had an idea for. There was another one. I can't remember which one it was. Something else.
Okay.
Something else.
You've got some weeks to lock it in before we have to start watching it. Yeah, it takes a while to watch these wrestle events.
It does. It was Super Brawl. It was one of the Super Brawls. 3 or 4 was the other one, and that's WCW. So I have to see.
Well, I love WCW because it's very much like WWE's weird younger brother who lives in the South. It's got a lot of charm going on that weird little area.
The NWA days was very weird.
I've never seen any NWA proper apart from...
Is it NWA or NWO?
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
NWA.
Yeah, that was like Ric Flair's territory, wasn't it? Like where he won all his championships.
Like they had the weird turnbuckles that like was so like strange back in the day. But one question I wanted to ask is, because I'm hoping to start a little thing for you now.
Yeah.
How many Mick Foley thumbs up are you giving the pay-per-view out of 5?
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
A good 3 for me, I think, because it was fun.
I would go with 3 because there's one dog egg of a match. There's 2 poor matches.
Yeah.
And then the rest are pretty decent. It's one of those pay-per-views that obviously has massive historical significance, but then when you watch it, it's basically a one match pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That carries it.
Ooh, I'll give the Legion of Doom because that
was actually decent. Yeah. That was a good tag team bout. Yeah, I will go with 3. I think that's fair. It's pretty average. It's got a good mixture of stuff for everybody, but it's also got some absolute cock and balls in there.
Let's see if we can get endorsed by Mick Foley by like using Mick Foley as the rating system. So I'm in agreement there. I would say it's a 3 Mick Foley thumbs up.
I think our podcast is slightly better than his, unfortunately.
Oh, there's the endorsement out the goal. You just
cheap heat. Go on, let it rain.
You can't mock the Mr. Nice Guy.
But yeah, so that's been the first Rumblecast for Nerdy Up North. We'll be back with more fun stuff. We might even do some like little shorts and stuff because we're trying to do this like a monthly show because it takes a while to watch a full pay-per-view, especially if we accidentally veer into like the 3-hour ones, like the certain WrestleManias and stuff. But yeah, so we'll be back with stuff. We'll be back with video games. Nerdy Up North's YouTube channel, where this will get archived, has plenty more content going out almost every day. We got women of nerd culture doing deep dives on all the subjects they like and all the strong female characters they've enjoyed. We got Top Grumps who are just chatting about whatever random character they've decided needs to have a trading card made of it this week. We got the Nerdy Up North full-on flagship podcast on a Sunday that basically reviews a lot of movies these days. Some interviews. You're also doing historical, like classic black and white movies, which I'm like, what? Like as a child of the 90s. Interesting. But no, firing on all cylinders as always. Never gonna stop. Like the Ultimate Warrior.
Don't say never don't stop, because like I say, I've given a time limit. The countdown's there. You get enough of this face, because after this year, you're not going to see it again. So
speaking of countdown to Doomsday, that's my Marvel watch-along show. We're about to do Winter Soldier in the next coming weeks, which is going to be a fun one. And Sammy, my co-host on there, does her horror podcast, which is Monsters Up North. I think I've mentioned everybody that's currently putting stuff out. If I've forgotten anyone, I'm sorry. There's Dragon Ball stuff, Creature Commandos, Chris is doing anime, everything. But goodbye, everyone.
Don't promote everything. Just if you like Nerd Stit, go to Nerdy Up North. Type it into Google. You'll find our shit. It's that easy.
Cheap pop. But goodbye, everyone. I'm going to go back to the music and the fireworks now. Bye.
Bye.